If you want to win money on DraftKings in Week 11, you have to identify who the best plays are. That's what I'm here for. I will be going over the best plays to make in Week 11 on DraftKings. Starting at the quarterback position, I think the best play at the quarterback position is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones hasn't been too consistent this season. Last week he had 18 points, the week before 9, the week before that 31 DraftKings points. But realistically, I think we could project Daniel Jones to finish somewhere between 18 to 20 points on any given week and at home in this matchup against a team that just allows any opposing quarterbacks to move the ball at will in the Detroit Lions defense. This spot just sets up really nicely for Daniel Jones. This is a relatively tight slate. Once again, DraftKings is doing, a good job, I guess, in pricing up players and just making it harder to build more fun, better lineups. So we're paying down at quarterback this week. Daniel Jones, 5,700, looks like he is going to be the pay down quarterback option, but I would also consider this next quarterback. If you like this type of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We put out DFS content, we put out prize picks content, we do live streams every single Saturday night at 10 o'clock. So if you don't want to miss those, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to reach 600 subscribers. It means a ton to us. Justin Fields, 7,600 against Atlanta. Justin Fields has been absolutely tearing it up. Back-to-back overall quarterback 1 finishes in fantasy football. Back-to-back 40-plus games. And the rushing floor is just so good with Justin Fields right now. 3 out of his last 4 games, he's gone over 12-plus rushing attempts. He's gone over 80-plus rushing yards in 4 out of 5 games, and he's scored 4 rushing touchdowns over his last 4 games. So Justin Fields just has an incredibly high floor right now. I know he's priced up at 7,600, and it's still kind of hard to stomach playing Justin Fields at that price, but this is a quarterback that is on the ascension. This is one of the best game environments on the slate with one of the highest totals on the slate. Justin Fields, 7,600, I think is one of the best quarterback plays that you can make on this Week 11 slate. One of the best running back plays you can make on this slate is David Montgomery. Now, I know David Montgomery has not been good in fantasy this year. Only 2 games with above 15 DraftKings points, and he's been just a complete disappointment, especially if you drafted him in the 4th or 5th round of fantasy football. But David Montgomery at 6,100, he's one of the cheaper value running backs on this Week 11 slate, and in my opinion, you are probably playing Daniel Jones if you are playing cash games, which would allow you to play David Montgomery. I want to play David Montgomery and Justin Fields together, and the biggest reason why David Montgomery is going to be one of the highest owned players is because Khalil Herbert, the Bears' backup running back, was placed on IR, and behind David Montgomery, there is legitimately no other threat for volume. So David Montgomery is going to come into a ton of opportunity as the Bears' RB1. This is a good spot going up against one of the worst run defenses, one of the worst defenses, period, in the Atlanta Falcons in one of the highest totaled games. So David Montgomery, 6,100. He's going to be one of the highest owned players on this Week 11 slate. Taking a look at another running back that I think is going to be pretty popular this week, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is coming off of a 22-point game against the Indianapolis Colts, and at 7,500, he actually got a price decrease, but the role is still very, very strong. Josh Jacobs has gone over 20-plus touches in 4 out of his last 5 games. He has a solid receiving role now with Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow both on IR. Josh Jacobs saw 8 targets last week against the Colts for 6 catches and 28 yards. So you're getting something out of Josh Jacobs in the receiving game. You're also getting a ton of volume, and the touchdown upside is extremely high. And on a slate where there's not too many running backs that I think are very good plays, I think Josh Jacobs is a good play. And in his first matchup against Denver, he went 28 touches, 144 yards, and 37.5 DraftKings points. His second best fantasy game of the season. Now he gets a road spot in Denver against a team that, is one of the better defenses in the NFL, but they are susceptible on the ground as they kind of limit outside wide receivers and passing attack. So Josh Jacobs, 7,500, I think is one of the best plays you can make on DraftKings at the running back position. I think T. Higgins is one of the better plays you can make at the wide receiver position. 7,100, I know he's kind of priced up on this slate, but still no Jamar Chase. The target share is extremely good. T. Higgins is going to be a player that pushes a 25 to 30% target share on a weekly basis, especially without the alpha and Jamar Chase in that offense. The spot is good, going on the road against a Pittsburgh secondary that is one of the worst in the NFL. Minkah Fitzpatrick is still dealing with an injury. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to be able to play in this game, but he missed last week, which ultimately would bode well for the Bengals passing attack, and I just think T. Higgins is due. He's honestly just due for a spike week. He only has 3 touchdowns on the entire season, as you could see on the screen, and I just think we're going to get some good touchdown regression. Only 2 catches for 27 yards against Pittsburgh. The first time around, I am fully expecting a T. Higgins bounce back week in this spot. 20-plus points on DraftKings. Lock it in. I think Paris Campbell is one of the best wide receiver plays on this slate as well. I mean, Paris Campbell at 4,300 is just the value wide receiver that we need to open up our lineups, and the role is so good when Matt Ryan is under center. 9 targets against the Raiders last week, and then in Matt Ryan's last start against Tennessee, 12 targets. In the start before that, 11 targets. So Matt Ryan and Paris Campbell have a connection, and a bankable connection at that. 4,300 on this slate. I don't think you can go wrong with playing Paris Campbell. He's going to project as one of the best value wide receivers on this slate. The role is good. The opportunity is there. And this Colts offense is kind of functionable with Matt Ryan under center, so I'd be willing to go there on DraftKings this week. And last but not least, let's talk about the tight end position. Tight end is an interesting position this week just because some of the cheaper tight ends that we've been playing have been kind of priced up. As you can see, Foster Moreau, 3,700, Greg Dulcich, 3,800, and usually that's not the range that we want to be in cash games specifically, but I think that Dulcich and Moreau are 2 of the best tight end plays on the slate for sure. But if we're just talking in terms of a cash game perspective, I think I'm going to look to Juwan Johnson at 3,100. He just fits the build ultimately, and sometimes a good play is a play that fits the build. Juwan Johnson is going to be out there running routes. He's a pass-catching tight end. The opportunity is there with Andy Dalton under center, as you could see on the screen. 3 out of his last 5 games, he's gone 5+ targets, 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games. I mean, Juwan Johnson, 3,100. You can't go wrong with a punt tight end like this. And ultimately, like I said, he just fits the build better than Dulcich or Moreau or Tyler Higbee. But I would also consider those guys very good plays at the tight end position. But Juwan Johnson would be my lean this week at tight end. I think the next tight end that you can consider but is a little bit worse than Juwan Johnson is Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas is 2,800, and at the tight end position, I'm just looking to pay down to the cheapest viable option, and in my opinion, that's Juwan Johnson. But if you need the 300, Logan Thomas is fine. His role is increasing. His opportunity is growing. He's obviously still kind of banged up from the injury that he suffered last year, but he's been able to play through it this season. Came back in week 9, 3 targets. Last week, 4 targets against the Eagles. He's out there running more routes. He's going to get more opportunity, and the spot ultimately is why Logan Thomas is a good play. They're playing Houston in a dome. Good spot for the Washington Commanders passing attack. Logan Thomas, 2,800, is a good play this week. That's going to be it for the first look on DraftKings. I will be back later in the week with a more defined video of the players that you should be playing, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later in the week.